Good day, everyone. This is your man, Jason Miles, with IAB. It is about belief. And I was having a really good conversation a little while ago with Steve, and he's got something that is, I don't know, it's good, it's solid, but I cannot wait for you to get his take on this. Today, Steve's going to be talking about your dynamic universe, what that means for you and everything and everyone around you, the way you think, the way you talk, just everything. But let me not try to explain it. Let's get it from the horse's mouth. So, without further ado, let's get into this whole thing. Let's talk about your dynamic universe with Steve right in a moment. Good day, Steve. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic. How about you? How are you doing?
Man, just wonderful. And but I'm excited today. I really, really, really am excited to hear where you're going with this dynamic universe or your dynamic universe,
Yeah.
and as it relates, I'm assuming to the individual that is going to be hearing this. And I don't want to try to figure it out. I got to hear it, man. What is it all about? Tell me, man. Tell me what it's about.
Well, it came from a comment from one of my viewers that responded to a video that I recently posted. And that video was really, we don't take the action, we create our reality, our physical reality with our thoughts. And then that just shows up. And so this guy came back to me with a comment that said, You're wishing and dreaming, and law of attraction is not real. And I wish you the best, or something like that. And I responded to him with, "You are free to believe anything you wish, and those beliefs will reflect back to give you the evidence that supports whatever it is you believe." And so I got to thinking about that. And I said, wow, it's a dynamic universe. It's everyone's individual dynamic universe. So it's your dynamic universe. And it's beyond what most people are thinking about, I think. So what I mean by that is, again, so if you have a belief and you're thinking about something, and then that belief shoots out there and is reflected back to you. In other words, you're creating it as you go. So your belief flies out there and it's reflected back to you as evidence, if you will. It's not, I don't call it evidence, it's just a reflection, but you're going to call it evidence, or I'm going to say, wow, look at that, that's evidence, and say, see, what I'm thinking is true, right? But now, if you change that belief 100% around to just the opposite, your dynamic universe will reflect your new belief back to you and show you not what you see and think as evidence, but it's just going to reflect your own belief back to you. And we're fooled into believing that that's the way the universe actually is. It's not. It's whatever you think it is.
Mm.
So I could go on about this, but I'm kind of curious. Miles, what are you thinking about that? And what questions would come up around that for you?
Like looking at it from me, because I think that for me and pardon me, all the ills of life, the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows, if you will. Sometimes, just talking about me again, I can get lost in what I think is the moment, but it's not the moment. I'm lost in whatever that thing is, and I'm not in the moment, and I'm not creating the things that you talked about, that whole dynamic universe. So my question would be, knowing that I've struggled with this, how can someone find the belief, the knowledge, the knowing that they can create this existence for themselves when they're in the midst of, or at least they
Great.
feel that they're in the midst of all of this turmoil?
That's a great question. And honestly, that's the question. And it seems like that's what I've been doing videos on, and they seem to be a little repetitive to me. And it's about ignoring reality. In essence, you don't want to take the scenes that you see in front of you as real, because they're not. What is real is our experiences of the scenes and our feelings about them. Now, that's real, but this thing that we call reality is not real. So, but that doesn't mean that we're not having a response to these things that we see showing up in front of us. So the answer to your question, and first thing is, stop, take a deep breath, relax, look out there, know that those things are the past, and that doesn't necessarily need to be the future. And examine what you're thinking, because you can see it right there. It's right there. It's the, in this case, your dynamic universe reflecting back your thoughts and beliefs about really yourself, your situation, yourself, and all the things that are going on. So trying to fix stuff out there is a complete and total waste of time. Why? Well, there's circumstances. They're the result of thoughts and feelings you've already had, and then they're just flashing up on the screen of reality for a second. They're gone, and then they're gone. So what we're looking at there really is the past.
Right.
So now what we want to do is recognize that and say, oh, do I like this or not like it? It's kind of that simple. And if you don't like it, then don't look out there. Turn again the focus in here. Okay, what's in here? And then you say, oh, I see. I'm not lined up with who I should be or who I want to be. And then now here's the thing. When you look in here and you say, well, I'm doing the best I can, which is good, and you should, and that's all only thing you really want to say, I'm doing the best I can. But it may not be the exact thing that you want. It probably is not. And no matter how hard you're trying, you've got that vibrational loop that's going on. How do I know? Because that's what I'm doing right now too. Things aren't perfect in my life. They'll never be perfect. They can be better, and that's really all we can shoot for, is to try right now to make it better. How can we make it better?
Yeah.
So there's two things you want to do. You want to look out there, recognize that it's a reflection, and say, okay, it's a reflection. I don't like this so much. I'd like for this to improve. Now, you go back into your memory and you see where you have gone through this process before. It's the same thing. It's likely the exact same thing. Different people, different things, different circumstances, but we're talking about the same story, the same lesson, if you will, that you've experienced over and over and over again. So you have yet to learn your lesson. I've yet to learn my lesson on certain things. So there it is again. It's going to show up. It's going to continue to show up.
Yeah.
So you go back and you look into your past where you went through this, you got to this point. And so for me, there's a level of frustration, a level of disbelief. There's a level of not having your faith in the place that it needs to be. And that's the key thing right there.
Wow.
So now you want to reverse your faith into the faith of knowing that things are going to work out for you. And then you reach back in your past, you see where you had the faith before, things worked out, there's your evidence, and you just plug that into the situation.
I had to write that down. In the place it needs to be. Not having
Yeah.
your faith in the place that it needs to be. That absolutely resonates with me. And, listening to you, being, fortunate enough to be around you a lot and have these conversations at my lowest and at my peak and everything in between, having the realization that, really realizing that you're living in the past or you're living in a moment that's past
Mm-hmm.
was a very difficult thing for me to get past for some reason. I was trying, but it wasn't happening for, and I realize now that that has everything to do with me and the way I was thinking or looking at the things and not being in the moment, because being in the moment says, hey, that was then, that's over. There's nothing you can do about it. You're in the moment
Hey,
now. You have an opportunity, right?
it's challenging to ignore reality and have faith when all this stuff is in your face.
Mm.
And you say, well, this is real. Well, it's not, but
Mm-hmm.
we certainly believe it is. And we've got years and decades of programming and maybe lifetimes of programming that we have to sort through.
Mm.
So, and to think that we're in the vibrational tone of what we want, and then realize that we're not, well, that's kind of a good thing and a bad thing. I'm going to call it a great thing, really,
Mm-hmm.
because now you're seeing, oh, wait a minute, this is kind of precise. This whole universe thing, it's really precise. And we can't be sloppy with what we think we're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We have to really get into that mode of, wow, if things were really the way I want them, they would look like they did when I had this much money in the bank and I was on vacation and this and that, whatever it is for you, or I had the great relationship, or my health was perfect, or I had the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do, any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have to do really is reach back into that past, pull that feeling in and plug it in right here, and live in that imagination until your new reality shows up in front of you that closely represents what happened in the past.
Right.
And it won't look like that.
Yeah.
It never does.
It really doesn't. From my experience, I really listen to the things that we talk about and the things that you share with others. And again, that's why I love to be in this position that I'm in right now to kind of interview you and dig a little deeper into this for others as well as myself.
Yeah.
But when we sit back and we say, all right, all I have to do is this to do this, and then I can do that. Everything is predicated on something happening that aligns with the way you're thinking it should or shouldn't happen. And as you said, it very rarely turns out that way. So can you, for people that are listening, if you could elaborate, Steve, a little more about staying in the moment and then kind of rolling with the punches, not necessarily rolling with the punches, but to an extent you have to, even though you're working towards a thing.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because, staying for me in our conversations while we're sitting in our West Side office,
Yeah.
for me, having those conversations was like, okay, my task was to stay in the moment and don't worry about what's broken over here, what's not work, because that's then. If I want it to be something, I have to stay here and work towards that. And whatever happens, I know I have to deal with it. But it was it was such a task to just keep the
Yeah.
blinders on, if you will. Can you elaborate on that, or just expound on that? What it means, or what it takes, or because it isn't easy from from experience.
Well, there's several ways to handle that, and ultimately, I think we all have gotten to the point where we just said, I surrender. There's nothing that I can do to fix this. I, I'm out of options, and you just let go. Now, that is the perfect place to be, to believe it or not. Now, we've been taught that we have to stay on it. We have to get out there and we have to fix those problems. We have to stand up against evil. We have to fight the good fight, and we have to work hard, and we all that crap, which none of it is true. Now, and I lose a lot of people when I do this, but that's okay. I lose a lot of subscribers. So not everyone is ready to hear this, and I'm not here to do anything but tell you what I know to be true myself. Now, most people who hang up on me, at this point, have never tried anything different. They're down one road, and that's it. And they say, well, this is what everybody else is doing, so it must be the way it's supposed to be. Now, they may not be saying that out loud, but that's what's going on right here in their head. But surrender is the way to create everything you want. Why? Because it's not giving up power. It sounds like it's like, I give up, I surrender, I'm going to be a prisoner of war or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that at all. What it is letting go of what we think is a tiny vibrational representation of who we actually are. But we're just a tiny part in these bodies of who we are. Okay, I'm emphasizing are. Who are we? Well, we, as an individuated identity, expand vibrationally all the way to the ends of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the power that comes with that. Believing that we don't have the power, believing that we need to be in control right here in these bodies, this tiny little fragment, it's kind of like the flea on the tail of the dog trying to wag the dog. It doesn't work that way. So if we surrender and realize that we're not only the flea, but we're the tail and we're the dog, then we all of a sudden know things are a lot different than we perceive them to be from this perspective. So when we surrender to that, then we know we already have everything. We already are everything. We've already done everything. We are enough. So there's no more struggle. We can kind of relax and allow the universe, which is the universe's job, to deliver all the stuff we want. The only reason we don't have it now, it's not because of the universe, it's because we're blocking it.
Mm-hmm.
We are blocking it by believing that we have to do something or be something else in order to get it. But we don't. We don't have to do anything at all.
Or just
And again, that's where I always be.
but or just like worrying, right? I don't know. This was a while ago. I'd heard someone on YouTube talking about some of the things that people do. They get up every day and do all those things that you just talked about, the things we've been programmed to do, the hustle and bustle. I got to go.
Yeah.
I got to keep moving. I got to get it. I got to make it happen. And then they're up all night worrying about what hasn't happened yet, which is creating or putting them on a path, a frequency to get the thing that they are afraid of.
Exactly. The thing that I fear the most has come upon me. Why is that? Because that's the frequency you're putting out to the universe. The universe has no choice but to give it to you,
Wow.
And I was wondering what that was. So, and so the thing is this is a frequency alignment, reality, vibrational game. We're not these bodies. We have a body. We created this body to have certain experiences, but we just got to learn to let go. And the formula for getting anything and everything you want is much simpler than we believe it is. It's certainly much easier. And you were talking about earlier about you had to have this thing happen first and that thing happen before you got to this other thing.
Mm-hmm.
But those are only beliefs, and that goes right back to what the guy was saying when he said, "I don't believe in law of attraction." Well, that's perfectly fine. Everybody's free to believe anything they wish. They'll just, whatever they believe is what they're going to get. So if you believe you have to do this thing or that thing to get the other thing, then by golly, that's what you're going to get. But if you just do this formula, then it'll be so much easier. Then you can reach into your drawer here and get out
the easy
button.
So Steve, share with, like, as best as you can, that formula. Can you simplify it, like here's the 3-part formula or whatever the case for? And I know that's way oversimplifying it, but it's not. Can you share that simplicity, that process, that formula with the listeners? So if you guys are watching, write it down. If you're listening, rewind, put it in your voice notes, put it in your notes. But what is that formula? What is that?
The formula itself is very simple. You really probably don't need to write it down. But you will have to test it and practice it and examine what's going on inside of you to tune it, to hone your skills. So the formula is this. It is imagine what you want as in as precise of detail as you possibly can. And then believe you already have it. That's it. That's the formula. It's not, I have to do this or I have to do that, or I need to go practice my guitar and get on America's Got Talent before I can get a contract with a Vegas hotel or anything like that. It's none of that. It's simply imagine it, believe you already have it, and then surrender to the universe giving it to you. If you don't surrender, you won't get it.
And I can tell.
If you think you have to do this stuff first, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
If you believe you're going to get it, and then get the hell out of the way, you'll get it. Now, if you're resisting it and you're strongly, you have a lot of willpower around it, and this, you may be just thinking something and continuing to think it, whether you want it or not. It's just your story,
Mm-hmm.
And if you're resisting that story, the universe will jam it down your throat Okay, you're going to get it. As Florence Scovel Shinn says, if you don't let go of the resistance, then it's very likely that your wish will be delivered to you in a violent manner. You
Mm. You know,
and
you're saying these things, Steve, and I'm just looking at what I've gone through and being a testament to everything that you're saying right now because you were saying it to me, and knowing that everything you're saying is accurate because as hard as it was for me, like there was this internal battle that everything in me said, no, I got to keep doing this. And yeah, you've got to put action behind things, but it doesn't have to consume you. And the moment
can I
that
talk about action for a minute?
yeah, please, yeah, please do.
Action. We believe that action is limited to physical action. In other words, let's get out there and make it happen. And kind of made reference to that a little earlier.
Yep.
Get on the phone. You call all these 150 people and find the one and all that. So I love the story that Robert Allen used to talk about when he's talking about his blue vase uh, award that he would give out. It says this insurance guy was running around. He had a quota to meet before the end of business on Friday, which was midnight. Midnight Friday, and he had to write a certain number of policies. So he was out knocking on doors, and it was getting later and later on Friday night. It was like 9 or 10 o'clock, and then all of a sudden he saw a light up in yonder window, you know. And so he goes up these stairs and knocks on the door, and this guy's in his office and he's working, and he says, "You don't happen to need some insurance, do you?" And the guy says, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. I've been thinking about that I need to, get some insurance. Come on in, sit down." So the Blue Vase Award is all about the guy that was out running around doing all this extra work, right? But what about the guy that needed the insurance? What did he do? He needed insurance, right? He thought about it. And then this guy shows up out of nowhere in the middle of the night that he has summoned forth because he needs insurance. And the guy that's out working thinks that he's doing this work for him, but he's not. He's been employed by the guy that's sitting behind the desk to bring him insurance. Does that make sense? So nobody thinks about it this way.
Yeah.
They just don't think about it. But there's two kinds of action. There's the thought action, which is way more powerful than the physical action. The thought action is what pulls all the physical actions into physical action, and they put them on the path. It's the idea and the thought that makes all this stuff happen.
Yeah.
Because that's where all the power is. The power and the creative power is in what's going on right here. Some people call it Christ consciousness. Some people call it the causal, vibrational frequency of the universe. Some people call it Jesus Christ. Some people call it Krishna. Some people call it, to give it the identity of something that they can get their heads around. Some people call it the ether, the etheric energy, and I call it the etheric universe, the etheric internet. It's all the same thing. It's the creative, vibrational frequency that our Creator has put in between the Creator and us that is causal, that creates our manifested forms here on this planet and the rest of the universe.
Right.
So I hope I didn't go too far afield.
But the creator, basically, to kind of correct me if I'm wrong, the creator gave us the ability to create our lives.
Yes. I
And
hesitate a little bit there because then I have to bounce now into the idea of no time. Everything exists in the moment. So, what are we actually creating? I don't know. This is beyond my scope of ability to think beyond. But if we're creating our lives and everything's already created, what are we actually doing?
fitting into it or finding a way to get into that particular flow, that frequency, because
Yeah,
it's easy to be knocked off your, as I say you get knocked off your square. It's easy for
yeah,
people uh, to fall into the trappings of life, the stuff and the things, and really miss what they're really searching for, because you know them as I know them. We know people that have all the worldly stuff, but it's not really what they want, and they're living a miserable existence because they don't have what they really need, and vice versa. But finding a way, the Creator has given us the ability or free will, right? To
yeah.
you choose. We choose where we want to go. But when we know, see, like believing something, in my opinion, believing something and knowing something are two very different things.
Completely.
I can
You know
believe
what
all
I have
day
found?
that the sky is purple, right? I can
Yeah.
believe it all day. I mean, if it isn't purple now, it's going to be, I promise you, because I believe it.
Yeah. Be careful what you wish for, Lord. We don't. I don't think we want purple skies.
No, there's something really wicked going on if that's the case, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
But
The
we got to know
interesting
it.
thing is, I call everything I do, because this is the way I started out, was it's about belief, or it is about belief, and that's the YouTube channel. It's about belief, and it is about belief, and I have found that may not be the case. So, and what I mean by that is, say, maybe you have a thought about something that you say, wow, I'd like to have that. And that's the end of it. That's your thought, period. You're not thinking about it anymore. Do you believe you have it? Do you disbelieve it? Do you think there's a process? None of that has entered the equation. When I say the equation, I mean your thoughts. It's just, wow, I'd like to have that. And then, and I know I've talked about this before, and then you get distracted with something else and you just didn't have anything. And all of a sudden, the next thing you know, that thing you said would be kind of neat, there it is. It just showed up. So I have come to realize that you don't even have to believe it. All you have to do is not disbelieve it, not believe there's a process, not get in the way of it. In other words, we're right back to surrender, let go. What I found for me to be the most effective that I can be, Miles, I can get some stuff done, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, I'm talking about, I'm looking at this or that or the other thing. And it's not that I'm not taking physical action, because I certainly am, and I'm not saying don't do that at all. But I'm saying recognize the order in which things are showing up. Recognize that the thought creates first the physical thing that shows up, and then you take the action around that physical thing to expand it, or you don't take the action around it to contract it, because either you want it or you don't want it. So you say, wow, this is really nice. I like this. So now you jump into it and you start messing with it, and it gets bigger. Anything you put your attention on gets bigger, or expands in terms of your perception of what is available to you in the unlimited universe that we have to choose out of. So now you jump into it and you expand it and make sure you're seeing the things that you want or like, because along with the things that you like are going to come the things that you don't like. There's a whole spectrum there, and that spectrum is there for one thing only, is to give you choices. So don't freak out about it. So what? All this stuff showed up. if you don't like this stuff over here, then you focus your attention over here. That's it. So if you see all these things that are showing up in your life that you don't like, ignore them. Imagine what you do like. Put your attention on that. Feel it in here, like, oh wow, this is what life would be like if I had that. Okay, let's skip the processes. Let's get the feeling right now, which is the goal, the ultimate goal. You just said, this is what my life would feel like if I had that. Well, I feel like that now because I'm imagining this. And now, this will have to show up because you feel like that. You believe you have it. And there it is. That's the formula. That's it.
I mean, I just
Now,
go ahead.
I just had another quick thought. I'm talking about physical manifestations here and creating a better life and all of that. But none of that is the goal. It's all temporary. It's ephemeral. It's going to show up and disappear. The goal is to be and recognize who we are and get ourselves connected to the higher vibrational frequencies. That, in other words, we want to get enlightened a little bit. And when I say that, I just mean we need to lighten up a lot. We need to get lighter, both gravity-wise and, a light source, if you will, so that we're not taking this stuff so seriously, and at the same time we're raising our frequencies so that we recognize who we actually are, so that we can move beyond this in the physical limitations, which is, I think, is what our job is, to be here on the planet, is to, I guess, learn some lessons. I've heard both sides of the story, that we're supposed to learn lessons, and we're not here to learn a lesson. We're just here to experience joy and fulfillment. So in the meantime, I'm learning lessons. So
Yes, sir.
yeah. So you had some comment or question?
Yeah, I mean, I just, as I'm listening and thinking and knowing what I went through in our conversations, I just can't help but to, I guess, reiterate or strengthen your point that you just have to be in the moment. You have to be in the now. You cannot worry about this, that, or the other, as difficult as it may be. You have to allow yourself to eat and sleep and function.
That's right.
You
can't worry.
No.
That's fear. You can't project fear. Oh, Dolores Cannon was talking about those two things that we really need to let go of in order to move forward, and that is, we have to forgive. We have to forgive everyone and every situation, everything. Total 100% forgiveness. And we have to, that's number one. And number two, we have to let go of all fear.
Yeah.
Just let it go. That's worry, fear, anything, any of those things, because those two things, will hold us down vibrationally. We won't be able to evolve. And really, we don't want the things that will reflect back to us from non-forgiveness and from fear.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be fun.
No, it isn't fun, and it doesn't matter what's going on in your life for the most part. Some things are a little harder to deal with than others, that's for sure. But if you know you can live through it, and you know, as you said, there's the ups and downs in life, that's the case. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just
Exactly.
Be where you are and move forward, because as bad as it may feel today, the opposite will be true in your life tomorrow.
The way to get beyond some of that is to, like you said, you're absolutely 100% right. You have to be focused on the now. And if you really focus intently on the now, you realize you don't have any problems. You're breathing, you're alive, you're sentient, you're part of the Creator. The Creator has created you specifically with your identity. What a blessing that is to be part of all this. Oh my God. I'm alive. I know this is amazing. I'm part of the all that is. And without me, then the all that is would be lacking and would not be able to be what it is, which is the all that is. Without me, it's not the all that is anymore. It's coming up short.
Mm.
So now to get a little more grounded, you might be very thankful for hot running water. I love hot water. So and heat and a house. Oh my God, this is amazing stuff. This is fantastic. This is all things to be thankful for, and all the other stuff doesn't matter because this is only in this now. You cannot have a problem. I love the way Eckhart totally talks about the now. He's the man. He says you cannot have a problem in the now. The problems require time, and there's no time in the now. So you're good to go.
Man. And man, I just love it, Steve. I think that all of the things that you've shared with me, all of the things that I've learned, I mean, like truly learned from you, and have been able to implement in my daily routine, my life. It's not, I don't even have to remember it anymore. It has now become a habit, in that it doesn't matter, because I know there's going to be a tomorrow, right? Until there isn't. Okay, and that's not a bad thing. It's life.
Will there be not only will there be a tomorrow, but why wait until tomorrow?
That's right.
Where there will be a next second, and things can change in an instant. And I have seen that literally happen, where I dropped a belief I had, boom, I just let it go. It was a radical change. And the universe reflected that back to me instantly.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that's holding any of us back is our ability to drop our fears and our judgments and our non-forgiveness. Just drop it all.
Yeah.
Boom. And things will change instantly. Now, don't expect that to happen. It doesn't happen often for me, because I'm working on this just like the rest of you guys. I do this, and I do my Belief Ideas videos for me. I started out that way. I said, look, guys, I'm doing this for me. I'm going to put it out there, and if you like it, great. Watch it. If you don't watch it, So it's kind of about my journey as well. And I do it because in the teaching of it, I learn way more stuff. It's like when you're trying to teach something, then you dig deeper to be able to explain it, because when you know it, you know it. But then when you're trying to convey it, it's a whole nother process. So for me, it's kind of a selfish thing, and it needs to be that way for each and every one of us. This universe is built on the individual. It's not built on the collective. It's not a collective journey. It's an individual experience, to the point where Dolores Cannon was talking about this. You have a circle of people that are real, But beyond that circle, they are the shadow people. They're not even real. They don't even have a soul. They're not consciousness. So if you show up at the airport and there's a lot of people at the airport, those are your shadow people. They're not even real. They don't exist. They're
Yeah.
just there as the scene, as a backdrop for your own life movie production.
That's right. In the gaming world, they call them NPCs. It's non-player or something or other. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's just there.
I'm not a gamer, so I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
and that's what it is. I love it, Steve, and I thank you, man. I thank you uh, all the time when you're not around. I thank you because
Oh,
the things that I
thank you.
learn from you have been vitally instrumental in my life, my health, my well-being, for that matter, and
Mhm.
just being able to control my mind, you know, or to have a level of control over what I put into the universe and being conscious of it. And now it's like I said earlier, it's become for me, it's become a habit. So when I'm sitting here and I'm having these conversations with you and you're sharing this information with others, I got to tell you guys, it is imperative that you listen to what he says, because even if it doesn't all work for you, the things that will work for you will have a profound effect over your life and the way you live it. I am living
Absolutely.
proof.
It requires your participation, everyone's individual participation. Nobody can do it for you. Jesus, and I hate to say this, but Jesus is not coming to save you.
Yeah.
He's done his job. He came to the planet to show you the way.
Yeah.
He didn't say, follow me. He said, I'm going to show you how to do it. Nobody can do it for you. You can't be granted free will and then have somebody slap you on the wrist every time you do something wrong, or save you. It doesn't work that way. It's your choice.
Yeah.
It's everybody's choice. Period. Now, I want to drop back to what we were talking about just briefly because I know we're running out of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the way my day looks is I have a list of things kind of to do, things that I want to accomplish.
Mhm.
But first and foremost, I'm meditating first. So I'm listening to the etheric internet, the realm of infinite intelligence. I don't have infinite intelligence, so I'm not that smart. I just need to hear things coming in and give me ideas and give me some direction and tell me what I should be working on and what I shouldn't be working on. Sometimes I hear it, sometimes I don't. Um, so that I do that, and then I kind of watch for clues of what to do. And maybe the phone will ring, or maybe I'll get this idea that I should go search for that, or maybe something else will happen. Something video will show up on YouTube or something, and I'll listen to that. And other than that, I really don't try to structure my day so much. I create the images of what I want to have happen. I look back and say, well, that didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. Not at all. And then so I'll recreate that scene, and then I put that out there. I just redo the scene of my movie. I might bring in, different scenes, different background scenes, different actors, certainly different conversations that I'd like to have, and then I play that in my head as,
Mhm.
oh, that's what actually happened, and then wait for it to show up on the physical reality.
And
So
that's what
that's
it takes.
really enough. It's probably more than enough.
And that's what it takes, man.
Yeah.
And he really summed it up perfectly in these last few moments. I mean, that's what we need to do. And Steve, I just, man, thank you. And I can't wait till we can have another conversation, because all people have to do is do it. If they listen and do it, they'll win. They'll get better. Let's say it that way. They'll get better at whatever it is they're doing, because I'm living proof. And it is, like you said, it's a constant work in progress. So don't get discouraged if everything doesn't appear for you like that, like Steve said. It's a work. And then when you think you got it, something else will come in and you're going to have to redo it all over again. You know, I mean, it's like walking up a staircase. Because you took the first step doesn't mean you're at the top of the staircase. You have to take step after step after step. So
It's
thank
never
you,
ending
Steve.
story. That's
Thanks
why they
so
call
much,
it the
brother.
never-ending story. I'm sorry?
I said thank you so much, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you putting this on. It sounds like my yard guys are here. They're blowing the deck. I'm sorry for the ambient sound. And thanks again, Jason.
And make sure you guys check out some of the other videos. Check it out. Go to It's About Belief. Check out the podcast. Check out the shorts. Implement these things in your life. Steve has a free program. The links are going to be in there. Just take advantage of what it is. All right? This is your man, Miles. Thanking you again, Steve. We're here for It's About Belief. Talk to you guys soon.
Have a fantastic day.
Indeed.